if you're on offense, we start there.
Yeah.
The Eagles had arguably the best offensive line in all of football.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think with their pedigree leading in, what they've always been, I'm not going to give the nod to Detroit.
I got you.
Ahead of them. I'll say Detroit. I think Detroit played as well as them, though, this year.
Okay. But then if you take another step forward with the offensive line, the depth was incredible. Fred Johnson, anytime he had a play, was spectacular.
It's incredible.
Tyler Steen in the regular season and in the playoffs.
A guy they wouldn't even dress in the last game of the year last year.
Yep.
Is a guy that by this year they counted on numerous times.
Yeah.
And he did a fine job.
You had Landon Dickerson for a half play center in a playoff game.
Now his natural position.
Yep.
So he's a guy that's very comfortable doing that.
Been some time.
But it's been time, and he's able to step right in and look really good doing it.
A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, we know how amazing they are. You could say that they had down years statistically because of the run-first approach for this Eagles offense. Saquon Barkley, of course, runs for 2,000-plus yards.
Do you feel that they did?
Statistically, yeah.
And I mean, statistically, we know they did. We can do math. But do you think that they did?
No, I didn't.
I didn't feel that way either. In fact, I think Devontae Smith maybe had his finest.
Yeah.
With the highlight reels he produced.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
It was unbelievable.
But you know how I felt all season long. As long as if it was efficient, I was happy.
Sure,
the only
absolutely.
game that wasn't efficient was the Panthers game, and they addressed it, and it got better. Then
Because you and your dad were there pounding beers.
Yeah, we didn't help. Then you go to the other side of the ball. Defensive line, other than Bryce Huff, everybody contributed, even to guys like Moro Jomo and Thomas Booker.
Everybody contributed to me, I would say, above expectations.
Yeah.
Nolan Smith?
Absolutely
was above expectations because a lot of people were, after 1 year, labeling him a bust.
And he really found himself second half of the year and the playoffs.
He did.
His best stretch was the playoffs.
Yeah, he came along really, really strong. Second half and then feeding into the end. Nobody expected that. Nobody expected it. When Brandon Graham was playing before the injury, Brandon Graham was playing better than anybody could have expected.
Right.
They found ways to, everybody thought, including myself, so I'm not saying that I didn't, that when you knew you weren't going to have, you were not going to have the most dynamic pass rush, how were they going to get to the quarterback? And this team got to the quarterback in historic proportions, especially in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was worried going into the season that I thought I had a team that could compete for an NFC championship game, but losing Hassan Reddick would be a big loss for him.
We all thought that was going to be a huge loss.
And it was not.
No, and we had every reason to think it would be, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Linebacker play. Zach Bond, all-pro.
Nobody saw that
Dean,
coming.
Incredible season. You look at your corners. Darius Slay played spectacularly. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, they were both finalists for Defensive Rookie of the Years. And then you had a very good season from Reed Blankenship and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's second half. He had a rough first half of the season, but really came to form that second half of the season and was one of the best players on defense for the Eagles. So the reason why we go through this, everybody, it seems, played to a level of expectation or above a level of expectation. Hell, Saquon Barkley played above a level of expectation, right? We knew he was going to be great, but did anyone think that we would be talking about Eric Dickerson's rushing record when they first signed him? Nobody was thinking that.
No, I didn't think it, too, because if anybody had said that to me, I would have said, yeah, you're not getting that on a team that has A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
Right.
They're gonna lean too much on the passing game to have that be the case.
Or it would be more balanced.
I would have thought around 1,500 yards, honestly.
And I would have been happy with it.
If you had given me that number, I would have said around 1,500.
And I would have signed up for it.
I would have loved it.
And it would have been great.
Correct.
Now, here's the deal.
Yes.
Can they do it all again? Is one of the questions we have. Who played over their head to the point where you go, all right, that may come down a little bit next year? And if that's the case, is that going to be detrimental to the team? Or are they still going to be, which they will be, one of the contenders for the Final Four? I mean, let's face it. We went through an article yesterday that we will bring back up later on this hour. A guy on CBS ranked the last 25 Super Bowl champions. And the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, the winners of Super Bowl 59, came in at number 1 out of the last 25 Super Bowl champions.
Which is wild.
And when he did his breakdown, Brian Diardo, you totally understand why he said what he had to say. So the question is, can they keep this up? Maybe not this level of elite play, but hopefully close to it, where you're once again talking about them being in the NFC Championship game next year.
I don't think they can to that level.
To that level.
I think a lot of things came together beautifully. Beautifully. Do I think that they can? Do they think they're going to have as many over-the-top performances? I do not. But I do think that they can still be an incredibly effective team, and I think there are a lot of reasons for it. I think there will be a huge rise in competition next year. Huge. Compared to what they were before. Their schedule next year is brutal.
Yes.
So I expect some of that. Will they be 21 of 22 people healthy for the vast majority of the year? I don't believe that's going to happen.
Yeah, hard to assume that, even though the Eagles have done it twice now in the last 3 years.
It is. It's hard to assume that that's going to happen again. Do you have historic seasons like, is there any way that Saquon Barkley's rushing for 2,000 yards next year?
That would be difficult to accomplish.
I'd find it incredibly hard to believe.
Because it's hard the following year.
So I just look at it and say, yeah, I don't know that they could ever get back to that.
And you're not saying that they're going to fall off and not win. We're talking about, again, put this in perspective. The Eagles, according to this guy from CBS, the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, the greatest Super Bowl team that won over the last 25 years.
And thank you so much for checking out our content on the 97.5 The Fanatic YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed the video. And remember, you can always be checking the playlist. There may be something you missed from one of our shows during the day that you want to go back and check out. So every time you like a video, like it, subscribe to the channel, and you'll have that great content coming to you every single day. You're greatly appreciated.